So good morning, great to be here. My name is Peter Tabernal, and I've got the right slide in front of you and behind me. And joining me here today, indeed, as being announced, is Abby Coombs. On behalf of the entire Meet Vincent Van Gogh Experience team, we would like to thank the TEA for the recognition of this all-new touring Van Gogh experience. We are very proud to receive the award, and we feel honored to stand here today, on stage in front of so many inspiring and creative talents and professionals in Anaheim, California. Thank you all so much for that. My name is Peter Tabernal. I'm the CEO of a small group of companies that is specialized in the creation, concept development, production, distribution, etc. of traveling and permanent exhibits. Together with Adrian Dunselman sitting here, he's the managing director of the Van Gogh Museum. I am also the managing director for the Meet Vincent Van Gogh Experience. In 2013, we were approached by the world-renowned Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. My company is also based in Amsterdam. We also have offices in Brussels and soon in London. The Van Gogh Museum was looking for a partner for a new project, a traveling Van Gogh experience. The museum obviously has the content and all the knowledge about Vincent van Gogh, but they were looking for a partner that is specialized in creating a high quality experience. But for those of you who don't know the Van Gogh Museum, it was opened in '73 by Vincent's nephew, Vincent Willem van Gogh, and the museum is the world's #1 leading authority on Vincent van Gogh, his art and his contemporaries, and holds the largest collection of his works, paintings, drawings, and personal letters. Their mission is to make the life and art of Vincent van Gogh accessible to as many people around the world as possible, to enrich and inspire them. And in 2016, just to give you a number and an impression, they welcomed a record number of 2.1 million visitors. But they are a museum in Amsterdam. Not everyone in the world is able to travel to Amsterdam, and even then, the museum can only welcome a maximum amount of visitors each year. A solution would be to let Van Gogh works travel the world. Were it not for the fact that many of his works are too fragile to travel. So this was the question that we had. How can we create a traveling Van Gogh experience that inspires, educates, and entertains audiences of all ages in every corner of the world, without using Van Gogh's original artwork? Today, millions know Van Gogh as the mad genius of color who cut off his own ear. But his story is far richer and more complex than this simple caricature. We decided to focus the experience on the artist and his life, and use his art as an illustration of his experience, his surroundings, and the time he lived in, as a vibrant background to which his extraordinary life truly unfolds. Vincent van Gogh died in 1890 at the age of 37 from a bullet wound to the chest. Most of you probably know that. But at that time, few people outside the art world knew his name. Fewer still recognized the radical brilliance of his work. He started painting at 27 years old, and so in only 10 years, he made more than 850 paintings and over 1,200 drawings. He was a very driven, a very disciplined artist, but he also struggled with himself, his family, his friends, unrequited loves, and later with his mental illnesses, which eventually resulted in him taking his own life in the middle of a wheat field in the south of France. We know so much about his extraordinary life story, and that is because of the passionate outpouring of letters between Vincent and his loved ones, in particular between him and his ever-supportive brother Theo. There are over 800 letters. Almost all of them can be found in the archives of the Van Gogh Museum. On June 15, 2016, the Meet Vincent Van Gogh experience had its world premiere for press and invited guests in Beijing, China. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Vincent Van Gogh.
Meet Vincent Van Gogh. Journey through the life of an extraordinary artist. The Meet Vincent Van Gogh experience invites the public to embark on an unforgettable voyage through Vincent's fascinating life story, beautifully rendered to simulate the world as he saw it. Discover what we're still learning about Van Gogh the artist and Vincent the man. Jump into the science behind the art. This is the closest you will ever get to Vincent.
You can feel him.
Emotional.
Inspirational. 有趣、开心，然后非常有意义。
Vincent's words guide visitors as they explore his world like never before.
I've painted wheat fields under turbulent skies.
En dan komt het beeld op je af. En op dat moment is knallend. Hè? Knallend.
After being pulled into Vincent's early life, witness him unfold as a man and as an artist.
My dear Theo, I remember very well that when you spoke to me about my becoming a painter, I wouldn't hear of it.
Walk in Vincent's shoes and really get to know the man behind the celebrated paintings. From the rural Netherlands to the vibrant streets of Paris, pull up a chair at the potato eater's table or take a seat at Café Le Tambourin in Montmartre. Immerse yourself in the Provence as you hear the wind rustling through the wheat fields and truly feel Vincent's joy as he grew as an artist.
Ik vond het leukste met je hand schilderen. En ik vind het leuk dat je overal op mag.
I'd really advise people to come and see and touch, feel everything.
But also experience his pain when things don't go to plan.
His eye wished to die.
You will remember me. I feel incapable of taking a studio again.
The experience brings visitors full circle as they savor Vincent's legacy, how he remains an enduring source of inspiration for millions of people all over the world. Meet Vincent Van Gogh, a once-in-a-lifetime experience of an incomparable life.
Okay. The development and production of the experience took over 2 years. Through an international tender process, we found and partnered up with event communications from London, and they are responsible for the concept and the design of the experience. Abby will tell you more about that in a few. After finalizing the design, 3 main contractors were responsible for the production. Works Projects is responsible for the amazing and innovative walling system. Rappenberg for the audiovisual production, hardware and design. And the authentic set work and the merchandise shop are made by Fiction Factory. The funny fact is that all of these companies that I just mentioned are Dutch. They're from Holland. But they were honestly selected from on quality and value for money. After an international search, we actually expected upfront that the contractors would probably be from Asia or Eastern Europe or somewhere else. Of course, there were many more talented people and companies involved in creating this experience. You can find them in the Thea Awards program. And with this, I would like now to give the floor to Abby Combs for event communications. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Abby. I work for a company called Event, and we have spent 30 years working in museum experience and expo design internationally. Just to give you a bit of background, our projects can range dramatically. Current ones we have in the studio include the new National Museum of Oman. We're also working on the Hans Christian Andersen House of Fairy Tales project in Denmark at the moment. And a few recently opened projects include the previous Thea Award winner Titanic Belfast and the European Museum of the Year award winner, the Riverside, up in Glasgow in Scotland. But how did we come on board? So Peter mentioned that we undertook a rather kind of grueling creative tender process in which we had interviews in London and in Amsterdam and in New York. And for this, we had to structure a storyline for the experience and come up with a concept design. I'm going to take you through some of the principles that underpin that concept and show you some visuals alongside some of the images of the finished reality, so you can see idea to actual experience. I think the reason we really wanted this job was it's a brilliant story, and story is always where we start. So we really suffered almost from an embarrassment of riches here. We have his incredibly emotional life story from despair to achievement and inspiration. And we had great materials to play with, the museum's incredibly rich collection. We also had his incredible popularity. In the words of the director, he's the first rock star artist. But I think the challenge that we started with was the fact that people are so familiar with his story. You ask everybody, and I have asked a lot of people what they know about Van Gogh, and the ear comes up again and again. But generally, a lot of people do know that he ended his own life. And I think that posed us with our first narrative challenge. How do you bring in some drama? How do you bring in some unexpected moments and surprise when everybody knows the ending to the story? So what we actually decided to do was turn the story on its head. What if we started at the end with the fatal gunshot ringing out over the fields of northern France? So that's what we did. We plunged visitors into that wheat field and created a kind of immersive, emotional start to the experience. Using panoramic projection, using sound and wind effects to make visitors really feel like they're standing in that field with Vincent at that moment. I think once we'd got to the beginning, the rest of the scenes almost fell into place, and we really started to think about them as a series of three-dimensional flashbacks through his life, through different periods and places that he lived. And we really started to conceive of the whole experience as almost a promenade theatre performance, where visitors move space to space and the story plays out around them. We're very thankful to have a very brave client team in the museum and in Artcom, and they didn't want to shy away from the very high highs and low lows of his story. So just to give you a contrasting example, this is the Yellow House, where he argued dramatically with the artist Gauguin and subsequently had a breakdown. And we bring this to life through shadow play, through sculptural installations, a big dramatic reveal, and light and sound effects. This is success. So each scene has its own emotional pitch and tone. This is very happy, jubilant, celebratory. And it really brings his story to the present day. One of our key principles underlying the whole project was the ability for visitors to connect with Vincent as a man. Peter mentioned the 800 letters, and we were clear from the very beginning. We wanted Vincent's to be the only words that visitors hear and experience in the experience. He leads you essentially from scene to scene as if he's walking by your side. Our first start to achieving this was actually reading all 800 of those letters, which took a long time. We then narrowed them down with the help of the museum's curatorial department, and we structured a script with the help of our AV partner, Elbow Productions. We cast voice actors, and we ended up with a really engaging children and adults version, but all from Vincent's own words. We knew that this had to be delivered seamlessly to visitors. You should feel like you're going on a walk with him, not on some sort of audio tour. So we commissioned a company that had an infrared triggered technology that would enable us to sync automatically with each scene's media. So visitors can just walk through scene by scene and experience it as they go along. We also had another principle of really plunging visitors into time and place, from the table in a Dutch peasant's house to the bustling streets of Paris. This was done partly through the artworks, partly through archival material, but also through specially filmed footage. We actually, with the help of the museum, found the places that he had painted, and we went out with Elbow and filmed there. Even in the right seasons, and if anybody's tried to organise a filming schedule around the appearance of almond blossom, they will know the challenges that presents. We also wanted to use props and 3D materials to really bring each of the scenes to life, and Fiction Factory, our scenic partner, really outdid themselves on this, from Parisian bistro tables to a giant life-size hay cart from one of his paintings. Each of them was researched, historically checked for accuracy, and then created in a great deal of detail. Another key ambition and another key challenge of the brief was to connect people with his artwork and with his practice and technique. That's kind of a challenge when you're not showing any real paintings or drawings. So instead of seeing it as a challenge, I think we decided to turn it on its head and see it as an opportunity. How could you let people experience the artworks in a way that they couldn't even do so in the museum? Sorry, Adrienne. So in order to do this, the museum, we wanted the paintings to actually be the experience walls. You feel like you're surrounded by them. They form your environment. So you're almost inhabiting Vincent's world. In order to do this, the museum had to photograph a lot of the masterpieces in incredibly high resolution, so each brushstroke and detail is visible. They also had to rigorously colour match all of the reproductions of the artworks to ensure an incredible degree of accuracy. But we also needed to find a walling system which would enable huge uninterrupted swathes of backlit graphic alongside seamless projection, up to 6 meters to 3 meters tall, up to 12 meters long. And they should all be completely self-supporting. Now, needless to say, this walling system did not exist. So we worked with Works Projects, and they actually developed a system specifically for the experience. All cabling is integrated. They stand up on their own with little to no truss, and little to no structure is visible. So what you're reading is the image. You're not reading the wall. We also wanted to get visitors hands-on with his practice. You know, it's so tactile, sensory, and active. So we included props, we included replicas, we included hands-on and digital interactivity at different scales. And we also, with Elbow, filmed an artist handpicked by the museum, actually painting and creating artworks. A couple of fakes that I have on my wall at home, which really were cut into the media to give a kind of an insight into his technique and his way of working. So I think the biggest challenges we had actually were technical. This is a touring exhibition, and Peter told us from the get-go we had to think outside the architectural box, quite literally. I can remember a meeting at which he said, imagine us putting this up in a tent. And I kind of took a sigh, stepped back, and rethought the approach. But flexibility was key. So each scene is conceived as a flexible kit of parts that can expand and contract, be reconfigured to suit an extraordinary range of venue layouts and sizes. Everything also had to be incredibly robust. So it had to break down into pieces. It had to go into shipping containers to be transported around the world. We also had to consider how it was going to be installed and demounted in each of the venues. So we couldn't rely on skilled labor. It had to be done quickly, and it had to be done with minimal technical inputs for digital and audio setup. So that was an incredible challenge. And we really only achieved that through a long collaborative process of working with the contractors. Peter's company actually also provided us with a venue in Amsterdam where we did a full-scale test build of the experience, which we then audio tested and used to tweak the design and change bits and pieces here and there. And that was all before it was put in shipping containers and sent for the launch in Beijing. And I think the resulting experience is something that we are incredibly proud of. We're very thankful that it's been recognised by the Thea Awards. But most importantly, we hope we've done justice to Vincent and also for the audiences who come out to meet him. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We have time for questions. Up, Susan, right here. Here we go.
I love this whole idea. It's great. How did you adapt it for different places, different cultural expectations and knowledge of the artist's work, and what it's like to go through an exhibit in different parts of the world?
Well, there were certain technical challenges, which obviously language and all of those practical considerations. That's one of the reasons why we have little to no graphic text in the experience. The majority of the narrative is delivered through audio and through interactivity. There are some instructional texts, but we were tasked with the practical challenge of delivering at least 3 languages, but at any one time. And obviously it could travel to any place in the world. So there's a set currently touring in China, but we were told it could go to Europe, it could go to America, so be prepared for anything. And I think the biggest question we had in our mind was, how do you audience test for that? I don't think there's a good answer that I have to that. I think we did audience testing in this test setup and tried to have a wide range of different cultures represented, but there's only so much you can do. And I think because the scenes are conceived as this flexible kit of parts, it's very easy to add on and take away elements. And I think that's certainly what will happen in the future if it goes to different markets. I would see that, Peter and the team would have the ambition to do that, certainly, and to tailor the experience. Yeah.
My name is Christopher Riker. This is really beautiful. It's really immersive. I love how people actually get to be on the set going through it. I have a question about the audio. You talked about how it's infrared and how as people move through the experience, I assume information is fed to their transmitter, receiver, where they are, and it changes as they move around. Can you just expand on how that works?
So it's actually a company that Peter and his team have worked with quite a lot in the past, RSF.
RSF from Luxembourg.
Yeah. But we interviewed probably about 3 companies, didn't we? Yeah. We considered Wi-Fi mapping technology, but really with a touring exhibition with, low-skilled kind of potential for install, it was really not going to work. Plus the problems that can create if somebody pops up a new Wi-Fi signal, it can disrupt everything, and that was just not an option. So infrared seemed like the most robust and easy to install system, and we tested a number, but this one was really brilliant, especially with its ability to, it has a signal that happens. You can place your sensors at the normal natural visitor flow points into each of the scenes. That triggers a signal to the playback, but it will then automatically sync with your media players in that space as well. So you enter the story and it all makes sense with the imagery that you're seeing around you and all of the ambient audio and everything else.
If I may add to that, the great thing about this new generation headsets, audio guides, is that there is actually nothing on your ears anymore. So that also, for staffing reasons, that is a great thing. You don't have to clean, well, obviously you have to clean the headsets, but you don't have to replace the ear pads every time, and the sound is brilliant. So I can, I'm a big fan of this system, and it has proved itself now in under difficult circumstances.
And because they're off the ear as well, it means you can still have a conversation. So we have a combination of ambient soundscapes and the in-ear audio, which is the narrative voice talking to you. It's Vincent and I think a couple of his relatives and friends. And I think the only time you would need to fiddle with the set is if you did want to stay longer in a scene and you wanted to pause the audio as it's looped around again. So there's that ability to kind of step out of the story but then rejoin it. It triggers automatically then when you move into the next scene. So yeah, it was just trial and error.
Hi, this is super cool, by the way. I was wondering about the relationship you might have experienced with more traditional art institutions or art museums. I know working at an art museum in the US, although they're very interested in expanding into technologies and new experiences, they're also very reticent to move away from a painting on a wall.
Right.
And I was wondering if you've encountered any tensions or if you found that museums are really interested in what this unique experience is.
Well, the right person to answer that is Jeff Wyatt, who is our man with the boots on the ground in the States. Maybe you can give him a microphone.
Up. Yes, it's a great question. Art museums, although in years past they talk about wanting to open up to new audiences, and this is clearly an exhibition that attracts new audience and also brings the art to life and new ways using technology. Without having the real art, they've been very reluctant because then so there's definitely a conflict, that they're saying, oh yeah, we want new innovative things, but however, without the real art, it becomes difficult. So sometimes there's been a case where, and because the art is so fragile now, I mean, that is ultimately the genesis of this whole project, that, it's very rare for Van Gogh paintings to travel, that, this provides it where you can tour it around the world and people can learn that story and appreciate his mastery of the art. So it's still a conflict, that's something we're dealing with, but there are, I think, some few brave art museums out there that will take the risk.
Yeah, and I would say that the Van Gogh Museum are particularly brave. Having worked between experiences that have no collections, expos and visitor attractions, as well as with museums. I'm currently working on a fine and decorative art museum with a well-renowned collection. If you say no objects, if you say even that you're going to take away their object labels, there's an interesting reaction that happens. And I think we were surprised. It was one of the reasons we were most inspired by the brief, that they were willing to take this punt, so to speak. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And look forward to meeting Vincent Van Gogh in the US.